So welcome back. Now I haven't done a design with natural mechanics for a little while. I've used quite a lot of floral foam. So this is for those of you that are learning to arrange without using floral foam and learning to arrange in a more natural and informal way. Now this is cloud glass and this is a gorgeous vintage container that I've picked up from one of the charity shops, and it comes with this wonderful little glass floral frog. It's a bit of a mouthful. Floral frog, and my first plans were to arrange just in this floral frog, but what you will find is that when you arrange, all of the little holes that are used to support the flowers are almost facing all in the same direction, so it's very hard to get a design where you have some draping material or some material that's angled in different positions. It's great to do an all-round arrangement in, but it's quite hard to get a design that has a shape. Should we be creating shapes when we're using wire netting? I'm not quite sure, but I like to have a slight outline. I like to know where I'm going with my shape. I don't particularly get on with this one because everything points in the same sort of direction. So I'm going to use some wire netting, commonly referred to as chicken wire, and I've got myself a little cushioned effect that's going to sit in my container that already has water in it, and that's going to squash down nicely in there. And I'm reluctant to put any tape over the top. Firstly, I want to protect the glass. It's a vintage container and I don't want to damage it in any way. And secondly, it makes it quite difficult to cover. But I might regret that decision if my arrangement all falls apart and the chicken wire springs out of the container. But what I'm going to do first of all is create a bit of weight at the base of the arrangement. And I'm going to do that with my chrysanthemums. I'm going to cut two of them quite short and aim them towards the centre. Now I'm going to do a front facing design and you're looking at the back at the moment, but we're going to get a little bit of weight at the bottom so that hopefully it'll weight down that wire netting and stop it sliding and moving around. Also, one of the difficulties of using wire netting is, it's particularly with glass, is that sometimes it can scratch it. So you might have noticed the chicken wire that I use or the wire netting I use is plastic coated, and then I know it's not going to damage my vintage container. So that gives me my sort of base weight and some colour and texture at the bottom. I'm also going to add in some roses here at the base. Now you might have noticed that some of these roses have already been cut short or shorter, and that's because I had a little experiment with the floral frog before I started, because I wanted to see what shape I was going to create, and I didn't like the shape that I got, so that's why I've gone to wire netting. It was a bit too stiff for me and a bit too stagnant, and I really didn't like it. And the flower choice I've got today is mainly from Aldi. You might think, Sharon, you are a florist, you're a trained florist, why are you using supermarket flowers in these tutorials? And the reason is because when I started this YouTube channel, it was to help total beginners create beautiful floral designs in their home. Not everybody has access to a florist supplies or a florist shop. So if there's something I see in the supermarket, and I do quite often call in there to see what's available, I like to pick it up to show you what you can do with it at home. So these little hyacinths have come from a supermarket. These have come from Aldi, and then the remainder of the flowers I'm using have come from Lidl, only because they were the shops I happened to be passing. And then I've got some garden greenery to go with it, which I will talk you through as I'm using it. So what I've done here is I've introduced a gorgeous soft blue. If I haven't already mentioned, I've got some bluebells and some forget-me-nots, so it's going to link beautifully with that colour. And then I've got pink roses, I've got some double tulips which are going to come, and this fabulous daisy chrysanthemum in a really soft lavender. Whether you're arranging in floral foam or wire netting like this, you still need to have width, height and depth. And those are the three things that's important in giving your floral design that three-dimensional feel. If you go too flat, your arrangement looks flat and it doesn't have any contour and any depth to it, and it looks quite boring. Right, these are the double-headed tulip. Look at those, absolutely amazing. These are going to open up tenfold and they're going to be gorgeous in a couple of days' time. And I'm almost layering up the flowers and creating that low down base weight, which is going to help cover all that wire netting. And then I'm going to extend out towards the sides to give me a better shape to my arrangement. And I'm thinking it's probably going to be something like a crescent, because those are the shapes that I tend to be drawn to when I'm arranging in wire netting. That's the shape that I particularly enjoy doing. And often with loose garden flowers, that's a design that you can quite easily achieve. Now that piece I was going to add is going to be too long, so I've cut them down into individual little heads, and these are going to act as weight at the back and help me cover the mechanics, that base mechanic. Right, at the moment it just looks like a little dumpling there in the middle. This is the front. I've only got 2 tulips there and 2 roses, but I can now start extending the shape out, and rather than arranging in matching pairs on either side that are really repetitive, we're going to work with groups of 3, because that is often much more pleasing to the eye. Now my tulips are draping slightly, but probably by tomorrow they're going to be going in a direction of their own, because that's what a tulip likes to do. But they are so pretty. Now I do have some florist foliage. This time it's that soft Asparagus fern, and what I loved about this was I felt it was quite vintage and quite in keeping with the delicate nature of the container. The container is obviously glass, it's fragile, it's very petite. Adding really heavy greenery in there is not going to be in keeping with the style and shape that I'm trying to create. So let's get a bit of height onto this left hand side. Unfortunately, we have a lot of movement in this fern, and it's going to cascade really nicely on both sides. Now then, I'm going to introduce now some pieces of ivy. They're only short pieces, but it's going to give me another texture and a slightly different colour to work alongside that really wispy asparagus fern. And when you're creating designs, if you're new to floral design, try and look at the composition of each piece. You know, if you're looking at a heavy piece of greenery, you need to have a heavy vase or a heavy choice of flowers to go with them. It's no good mixing really heavy greeneries with delicate, soft flowers, because they just don't work together. There is quite a big fashion trend at the moment for using big flowers in wedding work and not using any soft, delicate flowers at all. So you have to decide what style you want to use and stick to it. Don't overcomplicate things. So that's how we're looking so far. Little longer on one side, and this side is going to get taller as I add in this wonderful garden spirea. And always take a step back, have a look at the way it's shaped and the way it's naturally bending, and use it in the arrangement to highlight the natural curves. It's no good trying to force it into a shape that it doesn't want to go, which is what we tend to do with traditional designs like triangles and round shapes. We force them into positions that they don't want to go. And step back every now and again, have a look at it from a little distance away so that you can see how the shape is progressing. Often when I do flower arranging and floristry classes here, people are right on top of the arrangement. They're only looking at it from one position, and you really need to step back every now and again and have a look how it's coming together. Now, before I go on any further, I'm going to introduce the bluebells. Aren't they amazing? It's going to give me a lovely link between the hyacinths at the bottom. Again, have a little look, see if they're growing in any particular way. That one's obviously going to the left, so we'll use that in at the left. And you might notice that the base there of my bluebells, the stem is white, and that's because bluebells should be pulled from the bulb, not cut. It's the same with Alstroemeria. If you grow Alstroemeria in your garden, they should be pulled from the bulb, not cut, and then you know that they're going to come back next year. And do the same with bluebells. I'm lucky enough to have bluebells growing in my garden. They are technically, you know, a wildflower or a weed that's appeared, but they are so, so pretty. Now this one is quite straight, so that's going to work better there in the middle. And I've done that group of 3, so we've got group of 3. I'm not looking to match things on opposite sides because that can be a little old-fashioned and not as attractive as it could be. Right, let's have a look. Some more bluebells. This time I'm going to add them in to what is my right-hand side of the arrangement, and always use them at the front, the back and the sides so that the colour is fairly evenly distributed. And this to me is such a romantic design. It's very, very attractive. It's a really stunning design in those very soft romantic colours. And that's my last 2 little bluebells in the back there. Now I've just stepped back and have had a look at the design from a bit further away, and I'm not happy with this one here. He's standing up there on his own, so I'm going to lower him down, place him down more towards the base, and I'll be more happier with him in that position. Now I have these pretty little forget-me-nots. Some of them are quite short, so I can't place them in any taller positions. This one is really sweet. It's just cascading over slightly. It's probably been stepped on in the garden as it's been growing, or the wind has blown it to one side. But it's going to act in my favour because it can drape down really nicely over the front. Just found another bluebell, so we'll see if there's any room for that. And then with a slightly taller forget-me-nots, they can work up towards the top. Now you might be a bit wary of using forget-me-nots in an arrangement because they're such a delicate flower. But as a commercial florist, we can buy these to use in wedding work or everyday shop work. And you'd be surprised how long they actually last. As long as you condition them properly and you care for them properly, they last for ages. And it's a flower that I quite often buy this time of the year if I've got a bride that's looking for blue flowers for her wedding day. Right, let's just get one blue flower up the back. Now, one of the beauties of arranging in the wire netting is that if you're not happy with the position of the flowers, you can take it out and put it back in, and you don't have any, or you don't cause any damage to the foam. Now the flowers that I had were from Lidl, or these roses in particular were from Lidl, and they're very dainty. And I'm thinking I just need to bring a set of them up to the height to bring that pink colour through, because if we look at the design in detail, the pink colour is mainly at the bottom of the arrangement, and I'm just going to add these couple of roses to bring it up towards the top. And I said a couple, I actually mean 3, so it's a trio of roses. And there's one little gap here that I'm not too keen on. I'm going to have a look to see what I need to add in there. And I think what's going to be better is if I move that rose from the back and bring that one more towards the front. There's that gap there that I'm not happy with. Now I'm thinking I just need to have something lilac in this little gap here. And I happen to have a couple of buds that I've got left over from when I conditioned the flowers earlier yesterday. And I'm thinking that these are going to be long enough to reach the water at the bottom, but cover that little gap that I've seemed to have there, which has a lot of greenery in it and not a great deal of colour. So 3 of those stems tucked in, just in that little gap there. And I think I'm going to be really happy then with the arrangement. So it's a lovely stable design. I've managed to add weight to the back of the arrangement so that it didn't all tip forward and cascade out of my bowl. The colour combination I think is absolutely perfect. I really love that. That would look perfect in Bridgerton or Downton Abbey or some period drama just like that. Now, if you love this style of arranging, let me know and I can do more of this for you. If you're new to the channel, then welcome. My name is Sharon. Don't forget to subscribe. Hit that notification bell to be told every time I upload a new video. And surprisingly, the majority of you that are watching these tutorials haven't already subscribed. So press that button, subscribe. It helps other people find the channel. So thank you as ever for watching. Don't forget there are those printable handouts over now on Stan Store. They used to be on Etsy, but they're not there anymore. They're over on Stan Store. Please like and comment. If you've got a question, please put it in the comment box and I look forward to seeing you next time for another tutorial. Thanks for watching and goodbye.